Book 7, Chapter 12 of The Female Quixote, Volume 2. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Mary Herndon Bell. The Female Quixote, Volume 2, by Charlotte Lennox, Book 7, Chapter 12, in which our heroine reconciles herself to a mortifying incident by recollecting an adventure in a romance similar to her own. As soon as the ladies were come to their lodgings, Arabella went up to her own apartment to meditate upon what had passed, and Miss Glanville retired to dress for dinner, while the two gentlemen, who thought they had great reason to be dissatisfied with each other on account of Lady Bella's behaviour, went to a coffee-house, in order to come to some explanation about it. "Well, sir," said the beau, with a sarcastic air, "I am greatly obliged to you for the endeavours you have used to ruin me in Lady Bella's opinion. Rat me, if it is not the greatest misfortune in the world to give occasion to envy." "Envy, sir?" interrupted Mr. Selwyn. "I protest I do really admire your great skill in stratagems, but I do not envy you the possession of it. You have, indeed, very wittily contrived to put my own sentiments of that lady, which you delivered so freely the other night, into my mouth. 'Twas a masterpiece of cunning indeed, and, as I said before, I admire your skill prodigiously." "I don't know what you mean," replied Tinsel. "You talk in riddles. Did you not yourself acquaint Lady Bella with the preference I gave Miss Glanville to her? What would you propose by such a piece of treachery? You have ruined all my hopes by it. The lady resents it excessively, and 'tis no wonder. Faith, it must certainly mortify her. Upon my soul, I can never forgive thee for so mal a propos a discovery." "Forgive me, sir," replied Selwyn in a rage. "I don't want your forgiveness. I have done nothing unbecoming a man of honour. The lady was so prejudiced by your insinuations that she would not give me leave to speak. Otherwise I would have fully informed her of her mistake, that she might have known how much she was obliged to you." "So she would not hear thee," interrupted Tinsel, laughing. "Dear soul, how very kind was that! Faith, I don't know how it is, but I am very lucky without deserving to be so. Thou art a witness for me, Frank. I took no great pains to gain this fine creature's heart, but it was damned malicious, though, to attempt to make discoveries. I see she is a little piqued, but I'll set all to rights again with a billet doux. I have an excellent hand, though I say it, at a billet doux. I never knew one of mine to fail in my life." "Harkye, sir," said Selwyn, whispering, "any more attempts to shift your sentiments upon me, and you shall hear of it. In the meantime, be assured I'll clear myself and put the saddle upon the right horse." "Demmy, if thou art not a queer fellow," said Tinsel, endeavouring to hide his discomposure at this threat upon a forced laugh. Selwyn, without making any reply, retired to write to Arabella, which Tinsel suspecting, resolved to be beforehand with him, and without leaving the coffee-house called for paper and wrote a billet to her, which he dispatched away immediately. The messenger had just got admittance to Lucy when another arrived from Selwyn. They both presented their letters, but Lucy refused them, saying her lady would turn her away if she received such sort of letters. "Such sort of letters?" returned Tinsel's man. "Why, do you know what they contain, then?" "To be sure I do," replied Lucy. "They are love letters, and my lady has charged me never to receive any more." "Well," replied Selwyn's servant, "you may take my letter, for my master desired me to tell you it was about business of consequence, which your lady must be acquainted with." "Since you assure me it is not a love letter, I'll take it," said Lucy. "And pray take mine too," said Tinsel's Mercury, "for I assure you it is not a love letter neither. It's only a billet doux." "Are you sure of that?" replied Lucy. "Because I may venture to take it, I fancy, if it's what you say." "I'll swear it," said the man, delivering it to her. "Well, said she, receiving it. "I'll take them both up. But what did you call this?" pursued she. "I must not forget it, or else my lady will think it a love letter." "A billet doux," said the man. Lucy, for fear she should forget, repeated the words billet doux several times as she went upstairs. But entering her lady's apartment, she, perceiving the letters in her hand, asked her so sternly how she durst presume to bring them into her presence, that the poor girl in her fright forgot the lesson she had been conning, and endeavouring to recall it into her memory, took no notice of her lady's question, which she repeated several times, but to no purpose. Arabella, surprised at her inattention, reiterated her commands in a tone somewhat louder than usual, asking her at the same time why she did not obey her immediately. "Indeed, madam," replied Lucy, "your ladyship would not order me to take back the letters if you knew what they were. They are not love letters. I was resolved to be sure of that before I took them. This, madam, is a letter about business of consequence, and the other, oh dear, I can't think what the man called it, but it is not a love letter, indeed, madam." "You are a simple wench," said Arabella, smiling. "You may depend upon it, all letters directed to me must contain matters of love and gallantry, and those I am not permitted to receive." "Take them away, then, immediately. But stay," pursued she, seeing she was about to obey her. "One of them, you say, was delivered to you as a letter of consequence. Perhaps it is so. Indeed, it may contain an advertisement of some design to carry me away. How do I know but Mr. Selwyn, incited by his love and despair, may intend to make such an attempt? Give me that letter, Lucy. I am resolved to open it. As for the other, yet who knows but the other may also bring me warning of the same danger from another quarter? The pains Mr. Tensel took to conceal his passion, nay, almost as I think to deny it, amounts to a proof that he is meditating some way to make sure of me. 'Tis certainly so. Give me that letter, Lucy. I should be accessory to their intended violence if I neglected this timely discovery." "Well," cried she, taking one of the letters, "this is exactly like what happened to the beautiful Princess of Cappadocia, who, like me, in one and the same day, received advice that two of her lovers intended to carry her off." As she pronounced these words, Miss Glanville entered the room, to whom Arabella immediately recounted the adventure of the letters, telling her she did not doubt but they contained a discovery of some conspiracy to carry her away. "And whom does your ladyship suspect of such a strange design, pray?" said Miss Glanville, smiling. "At present," replied Arabella, "the two cavaliers who walked with us to day are the persons who seem the most likely to attempt that violence." "I dare answer for Mr. Tensel," replied Miss Glanville. "He thinks of no such thing." "Well," said Arabella, "to convince you of your mistake, I must inform you that Mr. Selwyn, having the presumption to begin a declaration of love to me in the parade this morning, I reproved him severely for his want of respect, and threatened him with my displeasure. In the rage of his jealousy at seeing me treat Mr. Tensel well, he discovered to me that he also was as criminal as himself, in order to oblige me to a severer usage of him." "So he told you Mr. Tensel was in love with you?" interrupted Miss Glanville. "He told it me in other words," replied Arabella, "for he said Mr. Tensel was guilty of that offence which I resented so severely to him." Miss Glanville, beginning to comprehend the mystery with great difficulty, forbore laughing at her cousin's mistake, for she well knew the offence Mr. Selwyn hinted at, and desirous of knowing what those letters contained, she begged her to delay opening them no longer. Arabella, pleased at her solicitude, opened one of the letters, but glancing her eye to the bottom, and seeing the name of Selwyn, she threw it hastily upon the table, and averting her eyes, "What a mortification have I avoided!" said she. "That letter is from Selwyn, and questionless contains an avowal of his crime." "Nay, you must read it," cried Miss Glanville, taking it up. "Since you have opened it, it's the same thing. You can never persuade him but you have seen it. However, to spare your nicety, I'll read it to you," which accordingly she did, and found it as follows: "Madam, I know not what insinuations have been made use of to persuade you I was guilty of the offence which with justice occasioned your resentment this morning; but I assure you nothing was ever more false. My thoughts of your ladyship are very different, and full of the profoundest respect and veneration. I have reason to suspect Mr. Tensel is the person who has thus endeavoured to prejudice me with your ladyship. Therefore I am excusable if I tell you that those very sentiments, too disrespectful to be named, which he would persuade you are mine, he discovered himself. He then, madam, is the person guilty of that offence he so falsely lays to the charge of him, who is with the utmost respect and esteem, madam, your ladyship's most obedient and most humble servant, F. Selwyn." "How's this?" cried Miss Glanville. "Why, madam, you are certainly mistaken. You see, Mr. Selwyn utterly denies the crime of loving you. He has suffered very innocently in your opinion. Indeed, your ladyship was too hasty in condemning him." "If what he says be true," replied Arabella, who had been in extreme confusion, while a letter so different from what she expected was reading, "I have indeed unjustly condemned him. Nevertheless, I am still inclined to believe this is all artifice, and that he is really guilty of entertaining a passion for me." "But why should he take so much pains to deny it, madam?" said Miss Glanville. "Methinks that looks very odd." "Not at all," interrupted Arabella, whose spirits were raised by recollecting an adventure in her romance similar to this. "Mr. Selwyn has fallen upon the very same stratagem with Ceramines, who, being in love with the beautiful Cleobeline, Princess of Corinth, took all imaginable pains to conceal his passion, in order to be near that fair princess, who would have banished him from her presence had she known he was in love with her. Nay, he went so far in his dissimulation as to pretend love to one of the ladies of her court, so that his passion for the princess might be the less taken notice of. In these cases, therefore, the more resolutely a man denies his passion, the more pure and violent it is." "Then Mr. Selwyn's passion is certainly very violent," replied Miss Glanville, "for he denies it very resolutely, and I believe none but your ladyship would have discovered his artifice. But shall we not open the other letter? I have a strong notion it comes from Tensel." "For that very reason I would not be acquainted with the contents," replied Arabella. "You see, Mr. Selwyn accuses him of being guilty of that offence which he denies. I shall doubtless meet with a confirmation of his love in that letter. Do not, I beseech you," added she, seeing her cousin preparing to open the letter, "expose me to the pain of hearing a presumptuous declaration of love. Nay," pursued she, rising in great emotion, "if you are resolved to persecute me by reading it, I'll endeavour to get out of the hearing of it." "You shan't, I declare," said Miss Glanville, laughing and holding her. "I'll oblige you to hear it." "I vow, cousin," said Arabella, smiling, "you use me just as the Princess Cleopatra did the fair and wise Antonia. However, if by this you mean to do any kindness to the unfortunate person who wrote that billet, you are greatly mistaken, since if you oblige me to listen to a declaration of his crime, you will lay me under a necessity to banish him, a sentence he would have avoided while I remained ignorant of it." To this Miss Glanville made no other reply than by opening the billet, the contents of which may be found in the following chapter. End of Book 7, Chapter 12.